Okay. Hi, so this is the weekly VOLTHA TST meetings, or meeting singular. If anybody has any more agenda items they'd like to add, feel free. And this is meetings obviously being recorded. We'll post it on YouTube later on. So just a couple of quick public service announcements. There is an ONF events page that Denise is maintaining, just the things that are coming up, like the VOLTHA, TechNAR, and there's a community meeting for Aether coming up. You can find recent announcements on this page, and it's linked to right at the top. I'm also trying to start a listing on docsvoltha.org with some of the resources that are coming up. Like we've got links to Docker images now, and I'm going to put the Garrett and the GitHub repositories in here as well. For Docker, there's a ticket open right now to go through and review a bunch of the images. There are quite a few Docker images available right now. There's about 25 of them. With the last release, we only updated 9 of them. So we're just going through to figure out what's been, since we did the transition from Python over to Golang, some of the images are legacy and they're no longer used. We're just trying to identify those. And there are some other images, like there's a VOLTHA CLI and there's a couple of other repositories. I don't really have build instructions for those at the moment. So we're just trying to identify if they're still relevant, and if they are relevant, we'll go through and rebuild them for the upcoming release. But that's yet to be figured out. So the 2.11 testing folder, the LTS folder in Jenkins, Torsten found a few more variants that we were not matching for the job names. The underlying problem ended up being the filter wasn't broad enough to be able to match things. Initially, we were just matching the branch name VOLTHA-211. It ends up the way the job names are being generated by Jenkins. VOLTHA and the version on some of the job names are detached. So the pattern's been updated to match any job name that has VOLTHA, they're the string VOLTHA early, followed by characters, and then with a suffix of an underscore or a hyphen with the version string after it. And that seems to be matching majority of the jobs now. I'll just pull this up and show you. Yeah, it takes a minute to render, but we have like the DMI jobs, and there were some BBSIM jobs in here that were missing. I think this was one of them, but they are appearing now with the new filter, so that's good. We just have to make sure everything's running and testing properly now. Okay, so for Avalash, had the open review for the ONT alarms. Were there any updates for that? If he's on, let's see. Oh, I guess he's not on this.
Yeah, I don't think Abhilash is joined today.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the review is ongoing. At least I saw some comments from Sarkant, and I also given some comments there. So I would think the author would be reworking and resubmitting the patch set.
Okay, good. Oops, happy fingers. So that one's ongoing too. Okay, for the Jenkins pipelines, the repository CI management, I thought of a couple of things since last week. By all means, if anybody would like to go in and mess around with the Jenkins jobs, the content that's in the CI management folder, feel free. Just be aware of a few things. There are quite a few sharp sticks in this area, so just be careful, when you're working with them, working in there. If anybody wants to make changes and submit code reviews or place requests for code reviews, feel free to send me any makefile or CI management repo changes. Likewise for DAF at ONF, both of us can review it. And if anybody else would like to be involved with the code reviews, feel free to ask for them. well, there's a whole list in here, but the main things to be careful of are there's a few tests in place in this repository a few automated tests when you check changes in, but by and large, there's not a lot of coverage. So Groovy language sources are one place that we need to address because there's no lint checking in there. And if you commit syntax errors within some of the Groovy scripts, and there's a few others, you can actually take down pipelines because there's no checking at that point. So code reviews are kind of the last line of defense here. So we have to be a little bit careful with it, but that should not stop anybody from wanting to make changes. By all means, get in there. And you don't have to ask. You can probably guess why I know why the source changes can take down pipelines. It's not fun. And there's some cryptic debugging that you can get into as well. If you start modifying, this will come up in bulk. It's not too bad if you're editing a few config files, but if you modify a lot of jobs at the same time, you can trigger some. There's YAML and JSON sources that are the input to Jenkins Job Builder, and Job Builder then generates some new definitions which we end up using for the jobs that Jenkins runs. If you are unlucky and trigger some syntax errors or problems in the generation, it can happen after all of the config files have been read, but before all of the job files have been defined. If you get into that state, it's kind of ugly because you're down in the bowels of Job Builder, and it can be fun to try and debug. But that's just a heads up. Be aware that that's in there. To try and help with some of this, I added documentation for a bunch of the makefile lint targets that the CI repository or the CI management repository supports. Some of these are defaults. Other ones are available on demand. Eventually, we'd like to have all of these lint targets run by default, but there's quite a few problems to clean up in the sources. So as we get the sources cleaned up, we can make these individual targets a default for make lint, to try and keep the code base clean. Until that happens, we just have to run some of these manually. And these are the tickets that are the makefile targets that you can use to run linting and testing prior to a CI management check-in. And if there's any questions, or like I said, if anybody would like code review requests, feel free to ask them or add me on the pull request. That's fine. And that is probably the bulk of what I've got today. I guess the floor is opened up if anybody would like to add anything or talk about anything.
Hi, Joey.
Hi.
So this is Serkan talking. So for the TST leads, Amit and Mahir, so we decided to open source our IGMP module. So for the next couple of weeks, we are planning to make some technical presentations and also a demo. And if the TST approves, we can open source the IGMP module to the VOLTHA side. If there is any concern or anything else, we can discuss right now.
Just a request, if anybody, or once things are settled down and like dates are scheduled for the training events, maybe just let Denise know about them, so she'll be able to announce them as well, or let me know and I can let her know.
Yeah, okay. I can also send an email that we are going to present something to the VOLTHA TST mailing list, so everybody can hear about it.
Okay.
Joy, I guess this is not a training, but this is a proposal.
Okay.
Yeah,
Isn't
yeah, that's
yeah.
a proposal.
Ah, okay.
Yes,
And we will,
I think that would be good to give the presentation and the demo. But just curious, when you say IGMP module, is this an ONOS application, or what exactly do you mean by module?
No, it is a independent microservice just handling the IGMP packets, IGMP protocol. It doesn't do anything else other than the IGMP packet handling. And it directly communicates with the OLT, not with the VOLTHA.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think it would be interesting to know. Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. Thank you. So, Joy, if I can be ready for the next week, I'll put a agenda item to these documents.
Okay,
that
cool.
we can present something.
Okay, cool. That sounds good. Let me see. Okay, I guess, does anybody else have anything that they'd like to highlight? I believe there was a temporary problem with some of the testing that was in Berlin. Maybe Torsten can fill in the details on it. I think the problem, or I think I read somewhere that the problem's resolved. So if there were any, there might have been some hiccups in testing, but that should no longer be an issue.
Right, the issue is solved. It was a temporary issue by the lab or some in the environment. And thanks to the colleagues from DT that they checked it very fast.
Okay, good. Does anybody, does anyone else? Wow, this is going to be a short meeting today. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to add?
no, but perhaps a quick announcement, Joy, about the waiting patches. You know, because this releasing took some time, there were some patches during this time waiting in the queue. So if anybody, you know, have these kinds of patches that were upstreamed before releasing, please check them and let them to come to surface, and we can review them and take them in. I know, I don't think Gustavo today is here. I know that he had some patches which conflicts that were actually ready before the release, but we couldn't take in before the release. We couldn't take them in. If you know, I'll get in touch with Gustavo and let him know that he needs to rebase his patches. But if anybody has this kind of, you know, patches waiting, please, you know, check your patches again. And also we have Tekinar on Thursday at 9 p.m. Pacific time. So everybody, we're waiting everybody there.
I'm sorry, what was the 9 p.m. PST event?
9 a.m.
Oh.
PST Tekinar.
Oh, Tekinar. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you're there, Joy.
Not enough coffee yet. Okay, cool. Okay, I guess. Does anybody else? Is there anything else anybody would like to add?
Yes. Oh, second. Okay.
Just a quick one. So, Joy, you noted that the IGMP model has been open sourced, but maybe we can change it as will be open sourced.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah, if any of the notes in the agenda page need to be redefined or refined or whatever, feel free to jump in and go ahead and type them in. Happy to do the edits though. Okay. A little bit short meeting this week. We should have sure.
Just a moment, a very small moment. I just want to inform all the members here that it's great that we have all the 2.11 test cases in the VOLTHA 2.11 folder now available, but we have to check which versions of the pods and the adapters will be used. I see sometimes pods will be used from 2.10 and sometimes from master, and it's very confusing at the moment. I will check tomorrow further things, and maybe with you, Joey, maybe we can find together in the afternoon. But at the moment, it's not that what we expected. But I think we can solve it just for the information for you.
Okay, sure. Just some background. When the testing was set up, there were some conditionals in the VOLTHA system tests that were labeled for 2.8. That's pretty much what I've set up for 2.11. So it's possible we might not have everything branched for testing that needs to be. But yeah, we can, if you want to sit down tomorrow, that's perfectly fine.
There was a problem with the version problem with some of the modules. Probably are weak, or I can't recall exactly. So Joey, if you remember that, we bumped up the VOLTHA Helm chart version to 2.11.1. So VOLTHA system test should be using those version 2.11.1, not 2.11. Just a reminder.
Yeah. I also have the change set ID that you updated the, what was it? I want to say the app version. We had a couple of them that needed to be modified. I've got a link to that as well. Let me just, this is only half baked right now. Just FYI that this is out here. I started working on a small script. Release. This is still a work in progress, but I've got a script started that it's going out and it's going to verify all of the version strings that are in the branch names and the tag names, both the Helm charts, both the version string and the app version string. There's basic collection and validation right now, but this needs more work. And the recent change sets for to correct the version string for the app versions, that's going to be included in there. So if anybody notices anything that's not quite right, let me know. So at least we can get it into the new testing script to make sure everything is correct for the release.
The VOLTHA Helm chart version 2.11.1 is currently marked with master, not with 2.11. If you check it in GitHub.
That is something possible. Yeah.
Well, branches were set up for 2.11. Okay, yeah, I'll go check on that. So you got too many windows open. Come on, where did that go? There it goes. Okay, sorry. Okay, so we got the announcement for IGP Technar. Okay. Is anybody, are there any other announcements people would like to make or things you'd like to cover?
A question here. So while we are expecting, so if somebody gets the master branch, VOLTHA Helm charts master branch, so it can get the latest version, right?
Correct, yes.
But if somebody wants to check out 2.11, then he or she needs to specify the Helm chart version, and it should be 2.11.1. So if you have VOLTHA system tests against VOLTHA 2.11, then you need to update those to 2.11.1, not the master branch.
Yeah, the syntax would be git clone, not globe, -b VOLTHA, that one, and then repo path.
Actually, what I am referring is Helm install SIBA, something like that.
Okay. Oops. Okay. I'll look up the command. I'll inline it here as well. Oops.
But Joey, should it be VOLTHA 2.11 only without the .1?
Or the git branch, yes. Oh. Okay. Yeah, I'll update the notes and offline.
And Joey, one question: what was the base for the branch? So the branches on particular repos?
The branches are under VOLTHA 2.11.
Because I saw this, for example, the OpenOMI Go adapter, the newest version is branched with 2.11 and not the one which was released. I only asked him what was the base for the versions to be branched, you know. Actually, the release was 2.7.3 for the OpenOMI adapter, but the version which is labeled which is branched, which is contained in the branch, the version file is 2.8.1. Okay, we can perhaps you can clarify this offline. If
Yeah.
this is only a particular problem of the Go or it's a general issue.
The VOLTHA branches were created a few days after we did the release, so it's possible if any check-ins were made in the window, that might be where the 2.8 came from.
Yeah, this might be because just after the release, I made two merges,
Yep.
and probably these merges slipped through. Yeah, perhaps we can move the branch somehow.
Okay, we could do one of two things. I can recreate the branch. That's not a big deal on an older date, or we could, if there's just one or two files involved, we could check out the 2.11 branch and just check the downgraded versions in if those are appropriate for the 2.11 branch.
But then you would have the history, some irritation in the history, right?
Minor, would just be one check-in after the release on the release branch.
I think that are not one or two files. There's a lot of files.
Okay, I'll tell you what. If you want to tell me either the change set or the date you would like the repository branch to be hanging off of, I can reattach, or I can attach it to that, or create the branch based off of that.
Actually, we can pin it on the version file. Version file released was 2.7.3.
Okay, good point.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, that's easy enough to fix. Oh, I didn't paste it in this week, but we've got the VOLTHA testing priority wiki. It was good to see Torsten was adding some content in here. So this is kind of becoming one-stop shopping of where to look for problems if anybody would like to work on some of them. So I'll update that and put it in the agenda next week. But okay, let's see. So would anybody like to add anything else?
I see that the Chip just joined. Thank you, Chip, for the fast response. Marcos has found an issue with software upgrade with extended message service in OMCI, and actually this is a good example of this. The community works because when we checked in this feature in 2010, then we issued a sentence in the release that we haven't had the ONUs which were supporting extended OMCI message service for software upgrade. And if anybody of the community is able to test this, he should give feedback. And Marcus was able to test this and found some issues, and Chip already fixed them. And so it is a good example that the community is alive.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thanks, Chip,
Yeah. And I
again,
just want. Yeah. Thanks. And yeah, it was a problem actually in the MIC check at the end, because it always was expecting it the byte 44, which is the baseline offset. So I fixed that, but also found some minor encoding issues for the non-parallel download case, which is like, I have no idea whoever would do parallel downloads to the same chassis. But if they could test that before both baseline and extended, because we don't want to break baseline downloads.
Yeah, I rely on Marcos for this test. Probably he's celebrating Carnival. I don't know at the moment, but
Yeah,
he's not in the office yet. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very simple change. I got you to test, but yeah, it's always good work.
The strange thing is that we haven't found it with the BBSIM, but BBSIM does not support this AES probably. It is missing in the BBSIM probably.
Yeah, because I have that as an optional, because not everybody passes that up the chain, but it did pick up on an encoding issue. So and the other thing was the reason is with the non-parallel download, you in some of them don't put down the number of results or MEs available. You just submit it. So that's what I wasn't doing properly. But I left the decode where if you just put down number of following MEs is 0, it will accept that because that's the last octet of the frame, but normally that's not there. So that is a relaxed download feature that's built in.
Okay.
Just in case because if I misread, since I missed it slightly when I encoded it, I would guess that some ONU vendor could as well.
Yeah, so we are a little bit relaxed on the ONUs. It's nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Always be relaxed on decode.
Yeah. Thanks again.
Okay, sure.
Okay, cool.
It was a software download with extended OMCI extended message set.
Okay. Yep. with extended,
OMCI extended messages.
I'm sorry, OMCI or ONCI?
OM.
MM, okay.
OMCI. Extended messages.
Yeah, extended messages. A few iterations and we'll get it right. Okay, cool. See. So if there are no other, if anybody would like to bring anything else up, if not, we can give you, let's see, a half an hour back for your day.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks everybody.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.